Okay, finale time. Hey, what's up everybody? It's Kiljaedas. How's it going? This will be the finale for the Tar Heel turn in 2017. Simply put, what I'm going to do is just recap the entire tournament for you guys. And after that, that's pretty much it. As we all know, North Carolina entered the South Region bracket, #1 seed, and they went all the way to the finals and beat Gonzaga, who was also #1 seed, to become the NCAA men's basketball champions. We had to go through Texas Southern Tigers. We had to go through Arkansas Razorbacks. We had to go through Butler Bulldogs, Kentucky Wildcats, Oregon Ducks, until finally we had to go against Gonzaga Bulldogs. Our own Joel Berry II was named the NCAA tournament most outstanding player for the tournament, and let's see if it actually holds true. We're going to go ahead and go through some stats. It took me a while to punch in all the numbers and everything and do the math, but I finally got all the numbers that we need for stats. So let's go ahead, whip out the old laptop, and let's get to it. Let's go to team stats. The Tar Heels went into the tournament and scored 490 points for all 6 games. That's about an 82 points per game average. For field goals, they were around 46%. 3-pointers, they shot at 29%. Free throws, they were around 68%. For rebounds, they had 270 rebounds. That's about a 45 rebound per game average. They had around 103 assists. That's about a 17.1 assists per game average. For steals, they had 47. That's about a 7.8 steals per game average. And then for blocks, they had 29 blocks with a 4.8 blocks per game average. As you know, the big number is simply the rebounds. I mean, we need to out-rebound everyone in the tournament, and the one team that actually out-rebounded us, they lost the game, and that was the Zags. So, it's something that was huge. We just did really, really good at making sure that our hands were on the ball at all times and not the other teams. And as well as we're getting those second chance shots. Let's go to player stats now. Starting off with Kennedy Meeks. He had, out of 240 minutes played, he played 127 minutes. And while that's going on, he racked up a total of 73 points. That's about a 12 points per game average. He had a 64% field goal, and that is basically the highest out of all the players that scored over 10 points per game. He did not shoot any 3-pointers at all, so no average on that one. He shot a 63% for free throws. He recorded 69 rebounds. That's the highest out of all the Tar Heels. He also had the highest average with 11.5 rebounds per game. 3 assists, which is a 0.5 assists per game average. He got 9 steals, which is a 1.5 steals per game average. He actually tied for the top player that had the most steals for this tournament. And then for blocks, he had the highest with 13 blocks, 2.2 blocks per game average. Next is Isaiah Hicks. Out of the 240 minutes that could have been played, he played 134 minutes. With that, he racked up a total of 54 points, which is a 9 points per game average. He also had a field goal percentage of 44%. He shot no 3-pointers, so no 3-point average. His free throws was at 48%. Rebounds, he recorded 26 rebounds. That's a 4.3 rebounds per game average. He had 11 assists, 1.8 assists per game average. Steals, 3 steals. That's a 0.5 steals per game average. 7 blocks, which is a 1.2 blocks per game average. Next is Theo Pinson. out of 240 minutes that could have been played, he played 164 minutes. He racked up 33 points, which is a 5 points per game average. Field goals, he had 29%. For 3-pointers, he shot a 10%. For free throws, 78%. He had recorded only 30 rebounds. That's about a 5 rebound per game average. Assists, 16 assists with 2.7 assists per game average. He recorded 6 steals, which is a 1 steal per game average, and had 3 blocks, which is a 0.5 blocks per game average. Next, Justin Jackson. Out of 240 minutes that could have been played in the tournament, he had the highest out of all the players on the Tar Heels with 207 minutes. Out of those 207 minutes, he's racked up a total of 117 points. That's the most points out of all the Tar Heels, and has the highest points per game average with 20. He shot 44% on the field with 33% on field goals, 77% on free throws. He had 31 rebounds. That's a 5.2 rebound per game average. 22 assists, which is the highest out of all the Tar Heels, within a 3.7 average assists per game average, which also again is the highest. He tied Kennedy Meeks with the most amount of steals, which is 9. That's a 1.5 steals per game average. And for blocks, he had 3 blocks. That's a 0.5 block average. Next, Joel Berry II, who was the acclaimed most outstanding player of the NCAA tournament. He had, out of 240 minutes played, he played 196 minutes. He had 83 points, which is a 14 point per game average. He shot 30% on the field, 3-pointers 26, and free throws 62. For rebounds, he got 12, which is a 2 rebound per game average, 19 assists, which is a 3.2 game average, 8 steals, 1.3 game average, and 1 block, which is a 0.2 per game average. Now, looking at that, stat-wise, Justin Jackson, out of all the starters, should have been the most outstanding player of the game. However, you also got to take into account that the role that Joel Berry played as the point guard. So stat-wise, it should have gone to Justin Jackson, but at the same time, with the roles that was being played, Joel Berry II does seem to be the more important than the rest.
Hey guys, I can only make 15-minute videos, so I'm listing the bench players here really quickly. So if you look at it, I rounded up the points per game and the percentages to the nearest whole number and whatnot. Unless it's less than 1, then I actually go with a decimal point. Also, for the stuff like rebounds per game, assists per game, I round up to the nearest decimal so I can get a really good solid number in there. You'll also see some NAs in the percentages. That's because, again, they did not shoot net in that area, so some of them didn't shoot threes, some didn't shoot free throws, and all that stuff. I thought it was very important that I actually list the bench players this time for the final recap, because again, they also had a huge part in us winning the tournament this year. And even though some people like Kenny Williams here, he didn't play a single minute, but again, he's still an important part of it. So anyways guys, please enjoy the rest of the video.
I have to agree with the announcers that this was definitely not the best shooting Tar Heel team that I have ever seen, especially that anyone else has ever seen. But yet, it is still they were a great group of guys that got the job done. My hats go off to them. They are just phenomenal. It's great that they gave us another championship to put around our belts. As we continue to climb up the ladder and trying to catch up with the other guns of the top guns of the men's college basketball world, such as UCLA and Kentucky, and stuff like that. Overall, it's just, as stressful as those games were, it was one hell of a tournament. And in North Carolina fans, let's be proud of our boys. They put up one hell of a fight, and they got the job done. Now, the one thing I do want to point up, and I did not say anything until the end of this tournament, because I knew I needed to say this at the end of the tournament, but the one thing that I hope is improved next year for the March Madness is the level of officiating that is given to these teams. The officiating just was off this year, and it showed through many games, and including the final game, the finals between North Carolina and Gonzaga. The refs had a stranglehold on both teams, on both sides, and there were many calls that were just horrendous. They were terrible. Now, for me, again, one of the jobs that I have, I'm actually going to share some stuff in my personal life. One of the jobs that I do is I actually officiate football and basketball on a high school level. And so, when people start, ranting and raving and stuff like that, I can look at them and say, you don't know, what that angle would have looked like for a ref. He could have saw something differently. I also know about, again, the error is human. I know, in my 11 years of reffing basketball, I've missed quite a few calls. And again, it could have been that there was a player in my way. It could have been that I didn't have the right angle to see what happened. Stuff like that. Again, it's just part of the game. Unfortunately for the college basketball refs and everything, you got TV and replay that people can see if you messed up or not, and it sucks. But you just gotta let for that final game, you gotta let those kids play. And also, there's some calls that could have, they just messed up the flow of the game. Neither team was able to get a good, rhythm going on, because it just seemed like every single time when we'd go one way, there'd be a foul. We'd go another way, there'd be another foul. It's like, you gotta let them go. You gotta let them play. There were times when when stuff went, in North Carolina's favor that I thought was just, should have been called or should have been not have called. And it's just one of those things where I understand from a ref's point of view, about trying to find the right angle and stuff like that, but the officials, you have got to up your game next year. This wasn't a very good year for you guys, and the final game proved it. Anyways, guys, that's it for this year for Tar Heel Turn. I hope you liked this series. I'm glad I'm able to complete this series along with the Raiders recap, and then also I'm going to be doing a Bulls bypass, and all this other stuff for all my teams. So it's going to be great. I enjoy it very much, sharing this stuff with you. If you enjoy it, again, please let me know. It's nice to actually hear from people that actually enjoy these videos. Thank you very much for watching, guys. And as usual, please like, comment, subscribe, and tell your friends about me. See you around.